What's up? What's up? What's up, my people? This is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And today, our guest is going to be none other than my brother, the esteemed, the man himself, Mr. Mike Braswell, is going to talk to us about investing with hard money. And he's going to tell us about how to obtain hard money. You know, a lot of times people hear about the stories and the horror stories of hard money, but they don't know all the details or the mechanics of how it works. So Mr. Mike Braswell is going to share that with us today. He's going to educate us on how to use hard money and how to obtain it the simple way. And he's going to tell us about 100% financing for fix and flip loans, for fix and flip projects. So hang tight. We'll be right back with you. All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us today. As mentioned before, we're going to have Mr. Mike Braswell coming up. Hang tight. He'll be right in with us. Mr. Braswell, you there with us, sir?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing, Mr. Glasper?
Man, excited, brother. So many great things going on, man. Thank you for joining me today. I'm actually here working on a couple of these different things that I got all these different things going on today, man. So hold on, wait a minute. We did that wrong. So I am now being commanded to do certain things by my team, man. So I gotta make sure I do all the things that I'm being told to do.
Okay.
All right. So now we in place. We live on IG, we live on YouTube, Facebook. What else? LinkedIn, all these other places. They got me rolling on these different places. But listen, man, I want to definitely thank you for joining us today, man. It's been a long time since you've been on the show, man.
It has. I was thinking about that this morning. I said it's been a minute since I've been on Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime show.
Yes, it did. Listen, I'm always excited to have you, brother. It's always a pleasure because I know when you join us, man, you're gonna have some great information to share with us. And we're gonna definitely talk about some of the things that you've been doing, but let's talk about what you got going on now, man. Tell the folks who you are and a little bit about your company.
Okay. My name is Mike Braswell. I'm the owner of Unlimited Funding. We used to be called Braswell Capital Solutions a couple of years back, but I decided to change the name. We've been in business going on 5 years in June of this year. So, I'm happy to be celebrating a 5-year milestone. A lot of businesses don't make it after the first couple of years. So I thank God for that. And I've been in, real estate since 2005. First started off as an agent and then I transitioned about 5 years later into the mortgage side. And so since 2012, I've been doing mortgages. I started off on the conventional side, working for a major bank. I did that for a few years, and then I got into hard money, private money, and did that for a few years for a company, and then I decided to branch out on my own back in 2017. So, just glad to be here, glad to be a resource to investors and helping make sure that people make wise decisions with their money, when it comes to investing in real estate.
Great stuff. You ain't tell me I still have these glasses on my head, man.
I didn't know if he was going for a look or what.
That's the benefit of doing this stuff live, man. You never know what go happen.
Right.
So listen, hard money, man. Some people confuse hard money. They talk about hard money and then they talk about private money, and some people say they're the same. How would you explain to the people the differences or the similarities of the two, hard money and private money?
Yeah, I would say that hard money and private lending they're just synonymous. I mean, it's old school people would say it's hard money lending, right? It's based upon the asset. It's asset-based lending. We're not looking at your tax returns and how much income you make, your debt to income ratio and all of that. We're looking primarily at the property, and we want to know, do you have enough money, and decent credit to be able to do the deal. Private lending, you can look at that as a private individual, right? This might be somebody that that has, a nice sum of money that they, need to generate a healthy return on. And, if you have some type of relationship with them, you can approach that person and say, hey, I'd like to, get $250,000, $500,000, or whatever it is in order to invest your money, pay you X percent return on it. And then I'm able to turn around and I'm able to use that money to purchase properties for myself. So hard money and private money are kind of synonymous. But if you really want to get into the weeds, the private lending, you're kind of dealing with a private individual more so, as opposed to an institution, right? So when I think of institutional hard lending, I say hard money. If I'm talking about private lending, I'm talking about an individual that is lending the money personally for the project.
Okay. And as far as terms, like are there differences in terms? Like, why would somebody, and I know this is a simple question for you, but for the people that may not understand this, why would somebody go to get private money as opposed to hard money?
Well, I would say,
what would be the challenges in each?
Well, I would say that as far as private money goes, private lending, that's going to come from you having a relationship with that person, having a track record, right? Having experience of doing a certain number of deals and showing your ability to execute, to get in and out of that deal and make a profit, right? And then you may, as you start networking out here and going to the different RIAs and putting yourself out there as a real estate investor, you start meeting individuals that want to get into real estate, but they don't want to do it themselves per se, right? Yeah. They have money that they have set aside that they want to allocate towards real estate investing to generate a certain rate of return. They see your experience and your success, and you marry that with their money, and now you have a partnership, with that private lender. Whereas hard money is more institutional. These are companies, regional, local, and national companies that have billions of dollars that they need to lend, every month. And so it's not so much initially relationship based to deal with those folks, right? They're looking at the property, they're looking at you. And if the deal makes sense, they're going to, fund that project up to, a certain amount based upon the numbers of that project and things like that. So that's something that anybody can get into. The private lending side, that's all about relationships that you have with people and your track record.
Got it. And hard money, what is required, or are there requirements for hard money?
Well, yes, requirements for hard money are, number one, we only lend in your business name. So you got to have a business entity established. That means your articles of organization, your operating agreement, tax ID letter. It's good to have, a business account open, but you don't have to. You can also, we can look at your personal bank account. And so, we want to look at the property. We want to make sure your business is set up. We want to know, do you have the money to do the deal? So I tell people hard money isn't hard. The documentation that we're asking for is a lot less than what you're going to get on the conventional side, right? You can be self-employed. You can be unemployed. We don't care what your debt to income ratio is. We don't care how much money you made, how much money you lost last year. We're primarily looking at that property. And so that's the beauty of hard money, is that we're not going to make you jump through a bunch of hoops to get approved for a loan. If you have a good deal and you have the money, the financing is there.
Got it. Now, being a person who understands the numbers and things and how everything comes together, you said something that I want to make sure you clarify for the folks. You said if you have a good deal. Now, we know the real estate market has gone crazy over the last couple of years. From the time that you and I have done deals, done quite a few of them, what would you talk about today is a good deal, and how would you marry that with hard money?
Well, first it starts with your exit strategy, right? Are you looking to fix and flip? You're looking to buy and hold? Are you looking to do an Airbnb, vacation rental? what avenue of investing are you pursuing, and making sure that you're clear about, what is your primary exit strategy on that property, and what is your secondary exit strategy if your primary doesn't go through for whatever reason. So I always tell people in this market, you just have to be very careful to make sure that you don't overpay for a property. I'm seeing a lot of that. The values of real estate in Atlanta have gone up like crazy. And I'm seeing people out here having a hard time trying to find a deal. And so they're to the point now where they're desperate and they'll do any deal. They just want to do a deal. And I'm telling them it's better not to do a deal than it is to do a bad one.
Absolutely.
Right? So no deal is better than a bad deal. And that's what I have to try to tell investors that are trying to make the numbers work, underestimate the rehab budget, overestimate the ARV. They don't accurately calculate the expenses of renovating that property if it's a fix and flip. So you really got to know your numbers and stick to your numbers. When you do your calculations, it says don't pay this much for this property based upon your exit strategy, stick to that number. That number will save you, right? If you violate that number, chances are your pockets are going to get violated.
To say the least. So what number? So we're talking numbers. Like, what are these numbers? Like, if somebody, how would they know what numbers to look for? And you being an educator in this space as well, how would you tell them, as a new investor or even experienced investor, sometimes, experienced investors, they just want to do it anyway. Like you said, they want to just do a deal. What are the numbers that people need to pay attention to?
Well, if you're talking about doing a fix and flip, it's the Mayo equation. I'm sure you're familiar with this: maximum allowable offer, which is simply just the after repair value times 70% minus the rehab budget equals the amount that you should pay for that flip. Right
now, wait. So I got, I want to come back. I want to circle back, but because I've heard some people say, and me and my, I'm a little, I have to ask these questions over and over again for some people. Some people say the Mayo equation is not applicable anymore. What would you say to that?
I would say that's not true. I mean, people have been flipping properties for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. And some very smart people, after doing a ton of flips, realized if I wanted this to be a profitable investment, and I'm taking into account, known costs versus unknown costs and unforeseen things happening, this is the equation that I need to stick to so that my time and the money that I'm putting forward on this project, will yield me a minimal return on investment that I'm looking for. So plus lenders, right? Lenders are lending based upon that as well. All of the lenders that I work with won't lend any more than 75% of the property's after repair value. And that's for an experienced investor. If you're a newer investor, we're going to lend up to 70% of that property's after repair value. So that equation goes in line with what we're looking at to evaluate how much we're going to lend on a project. So I tell investors, it behooves you to run your numbers based upon the numbers that we're going to look at, when we're evaluating your property to determine whether or not we want to fund that deal.
What if they just want to give you a whole lot of extra money, even though it doesn't make sense to them for them to do that?
I certainly try to deter people from doing that. Because at the end of the day, it's about relationships. I want you to make money, right? If you make money on this deal, the hope is that you will come back to me again for another loan so that you can then, make money. But if you're getting into properties and you're making little or no return on investment, you're not going to be around long, right? And so, we want you to do this over and over and over again. So if there's a deal and we run in the numbers, we do the appraisal and it's not a good deal, I'm going to tell you why it's not a good deal. And at the end of the day, right, it's your money. If you want to go forward and say, okay, I'll put more money down in order to make these numbers work, that's on you. But just understand that's going to impact your return on investment.
Wow. Yeah, because, there are some investors, man, that they're trying to, and this is what I find, maybe it's crazy. They're trying to compete with the hedge funds, if you will. Right. And there are a lot of wholesalers out there just are looking at they're not taking into consideration, and they're making the money, so it is what it is. They're not taking into consideration the relationships that they can build with the individual buyer. They're more so looking at the relationships with the hedge funds. And they're, some of these hedge funds, they got the money to burn, right? And they're, people are trying to sell these deals at 85% ARV. And then some of them are coming in and they're talking about, well, we'll sell it to you at 85% of ARV, but you're going to be able to sell it over asking price in 6 months anyway. So why not pay the higher price now and then you'll profit down the road? What do you say to something like that? I mean, do you base an ARV based on 6 months from now? I feel crazy asking that question.
No, we definitely don't, right? We base it on what the appraiser says it's worth today, right? We don't know what it's going to be worth 6 months from now. Nobody knows, right? That's a, I tell people, hope is not a strategy, right? Like, you hoping that this house is going to be worth $30,000, $40,000 more in 6 months. No, you can't run a business. If you're trying to make real estate investing a business, you can't run your business that way, right? You have to deal with what's real, actual numbers and plugging those numbers into what you got going on to assess the viability of that real estate project. So I don't advise investors to do that. I mean, the hedge funds, they have a completely different model. They got, billions of dollars that they got to put out there, and they have their own strategy, right? They're looking to lease, purchase these properties, a lot of them, so they'll overpay for them because their thing is the passive income plus some of the forced depreciation that's going to naturally occur. They hope, and we all hope, over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? So their business model is very different. Don't try to compete with a hedge fund. If you're, mom and pop investor out there, your resources are limited. You got to make sure that you mind your numbers and don't worry about what somebody else is doing because they have a different business model.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. But I got money to burn too. And, I just want to give you this. I just want to give you this extra money, maybe my margin is 10% when the deal is done. And it takes me 6 to 9 months to do this flip.
No. Bad business. I definitely don't do that. I mean, 10% return, 6 months, the stress, dealing with contractors if you're flipping, all the moving parts, the cost of construction has gone up, cost of labor has gone up. No, there are too many different headwinds out here, just to walk away with a 10% return. To me, I don't think it's worth it for what is required to get that at 10% return. It's not worth it.
Wow. Especially if you're only doing one, even if you're doing two, like 10% return over that amount of time. We're talking 6 to 9 months, depending on the return. I mean, it doesn't matter the return. I mean, if you're doing a bigger project, you're getting a 10% return. And we're talking net 10%, hopefully, some people are, they push it in line at gross 10%.
You said it net, right?
Right. And that is a huge difference. But that 10% net that they're getting, and they're getting it in that 6 to 9 month period. And that being whatever it is, of course, the more you invest, the bigger deal you're going to be able to do. Right. But the risk over the potential reward time, it's almost as if they're working for, minimum wage, depending on how you're doing the deal. What do you say to the new investor? Well, first of all, let's back up a little bit because I want to talk about your program and how that works, how that comes together. So, new investor, just getting started. I got a little money to put down. I'm trying to get this deal. What are some of the requirements? What's my credit score need to be? How much money do I need to have in the bank? Do I need to have experience? Like, what's the things that you look for when a new investor's coming to get money from you to buy a property?
First thing I'm looking for, I'm asking them questions about them. I'm trying to get to know them. What is your plan? What is your strategy? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? You want to do a fix and flip? Do you want to do a buy and hold? Do you want to do a little bit of both? What's your level of knowledge, right? Have you leveled up and have you been reading books? Have you been going to conferences? Have you been, getting on social media, YouTube and looking at different people? Like, what do you understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish? do you know what your level of risk tolerance is? Right? A lot of people don't do that assessment. They just look at the potential money that they can make. But if you're a conservative person, if you're risk adverse, and you don't like uncertainty, real estate investing might not be for you, right? You may just want to give your money to somebody that's willing to take on the risk and do the work and do the heavy lifting that can generate you a return. So I tell people, first you got to kind of know yourself, right? Just don't get caught up in the hype of I want to fix and flip and make $60,000 profit. It's more to it than that, right? And so from a lending standpoint, once I kind of deal with the mental aspect of real estate investing, just trying to get a sense of where they are mentally and emotionally, I want to look at your finances. Do you have good credit?
So you mean somebody has to have the proper mindset to do this stuff?
Oh, you definitely got to have the right mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Wow.
Right? I know you're big on that as a mentor, as a coach, is teaching people to make sure that their mind is right before they get out here and they put their credit and their money on the line.
Yeah. I mean, because it's that thing, that Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right. Facts. And until that first thing go wrong with that contractor, and something that house don't pass inspection, or something comes up, contractor runs off with your money, or is doing shoddy work, and and you got to redo it over again. Everybody goes into real estate investing with this pie in the sky mentality. Everything is going to work out. Everything is going to be smooth. All the different people on the team, or everything is just going to flow smoothly. And this is going to be an easy return on investment. In 3 or 4 months, we'll renovate the property. We'll have it on the market. It'll be sold, And I mean, while it's good to think that way, you definitely have to understand and plan for the worst. If this doesn't go right, then what? How am I going to handle it? Do I have enough capital on hand? How can I regroup to get it back on track? You got to think about the worst case scenario, because especially as a new investor, you're going to encounter that initially. You're going to encounter some rough patches and some issues with contractors and different things like that. So you just want to make sure that you have the capacity to invest in real estate. There are kind of like 4 things that we look at on a lending side. We look at your credit. Do you have decent credit? Decent credit, I define as at least a 650, 660 or better credit score. Ideally, you want to have 700 or better. You get the best terms typically when you have at least a 700 credit score. So that's first and foremost. What is your capacity? How much liquidity do you have? How much money do you have to invest, right? Meaning, outside of you paying your bills and all the other stuff that you got going on in your life, how much money do you have that you can put towards this real estate investment? We call that capacity. Then we look at your character, right? Which is a function of your credit score. Do you pay your bills on time? Are you trustworthy? If I loan you $150,000, $200,000 to do this flip, what's the likelihood of you being able to complete this flip, sell this property, and pay me my money back? Right. And then we look at the collateral. We look at the property itself. What are you trying to do to it? What's the renovation budget? If it's a rehab, what's the after repair value? How long are you going to be in this deal? When can we expect to get paid back? Right. So those are, I call them the 4 C's that we're really looking at. And a lot of people, say, oh, I thought I didn't have to have any credit, with hard money. That's not true. Now, I do have a few lenders that don't look at credit, right? But that loan is going to be more expensive and the terms are going to be more conservative. But if you want to get the best terms, it behooves you to have decent credit. I define that as 650, 660 or better to get those terms. And then the biggest thing I see, make sure you have enough capital, enough money for down payment, closing costs, payment reserves. You want to see 3 to 6 months of payments and reserves. And if you're doing a rehab, do you have 25% of the rehab budget in reserves? Because yes, we're going to loan you 100% of the money that you need to rehab it. However, you have to start that project with your own money, and then we're going to reimburse you. Right? We just don't give you the money up front and say, go spend it. No, you spend the money. We inspect the property to make sure the work is being done right, and then we reimburse you for it. So you got to have down payment, closing costs, 3 to 6 months payments, and at least 25% of the rehab budget in reserves for us to feel confident in lending you money.
But Mike, wait a minute. These gurus and these experts tell me I don't need money or credit to become a real estate investor. What are you talking about?
I would say if you're trying to fix and flip a property, you do. Now, if you're wholesaling, right, you don't. And that's what they're talking about. That's what they don't say, right? Because they want you to call them, getting part of their program, but really what they're telling you is wholesaling, right? That's what they're talking about. You don't need cash or credit to wholesale. You need cash and credit for buying and holding, fixing and flipping, new construction, and anything else you're going to do when it comes to real estate. So, it is true, but that's only to a very limited, portion of the real estate investing community.
Okay. Somebody's telling me that the sound is not working on. Okay. So I'm sorry. Well, if you're on that one, then switch to this one. We'll figure out the sound over there. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, no, that's the thing. You're absolutely right. I find that that's the thing that's misleading. Now, of course, people can do wholesaling with no money and no credit, right? But the thing that's often misleading is the way that they even get to the point of doing that, right? Because some people are, and I talk to several people on a daily basis about getting into the business, and their idea is that it doesn't cost anything, that there's no investment necessary. And I believe the thing that's missing is the boundary between them getting started and the education that's necessary to be able to do the deals with no money, no credit. Right. And that's that thing that oftentimes people miss. They're like, well, they said I didn't need money or credit, but yeah, how are you going to learn how to do that? Like, how are you going to learn to get to the point of being able to do the deals with no money, no credit? And then is the no money, no credit strategy something that's long term for you? So, but I mean, yeah, but when you're talking about definitely getting into rehabbing and fixing and flipping, you're certainly going to need to be in position to have those things in order. Right. So let's go back real quick. We were talking about numbers. I need to do a quick promo for this Saturday. This Saturday, we're actually doing a rehab walkthrough, another rehab walkthrough, going over some of this information that we're talking about now, just showing people how these things come together. And my partners, Gary and Sabrina, are going to be hosting that event. And, just talking about the different aspects of locating properties, how to analyze them, when certain things are necessary, surveys, engineers, these different things that a lot of times people overlook. And so let me ask you this, what comes first when you're looking at rehabbing, right? When you're looking at getting into the business of rehabbing, should you get pre-qualified or pre-approved for funding, or should you go find a deal that doesn't make sense? I mean, go find a deal. I probably answered the question, but
I would definitely say, get pre-qualified, right? Get your proof of funds letter. I mean, the fact is, sellers aren't going to talk to you or even entertain you without a proof of funds letter, right? You can't go telling somebody I'm interested in buying your house. And even if you're buying cash, they're going to want to see bank statements. Okay, show me, if you're a cash buyer, show me a bank statement that has X amount of dollars that I know that you're serious and that you can pay cash for my house. If you need financing, okay, I need a letter from your lender who has looked at your finances and determined, an amount that you qualify for. But it's very simple on our side, right? We just want to see your business entity documents, your articles, operating agreement, tax ID letter, and 2 months bank statements. We want to see that you got your business set up right and that your money is right. And then I'll provide you with a pre-qual letter, usually within 24 to 48 hours.
And that basically gives them the guise of what they need to present, or even know what they can present, or even know the type of deal that they can get to, because they're within. So let me ask you this. This is another thing that just came to mind. For the person that maybe understands debt to income and all that, is any of that relevant as it relates to the type of deal? So if they go and get pre-qualified, what amount would they know to get pre-qualified for? Is it, 200,000, 300,000, or is there a set number for that?
Well, I first asked them, tell me how much you're looking to spend on a property. What is your budget for your flip? I don't want to pay any more than 100. I don't want to pay more than 150. What is your budget? Because we're going to finance 100% of the rehab, more than likely, right? So I'm looking at, okay, if you're saying that you want to pay, say, $100,000 for a property, okay, at a minimum, you're going to need to put down 20% of the purchase price. So do you have $20,000 in the bank? Do you have money for closing costs? And how much money do you have to do renovations with? Right. So that's kind of what I look at to determine what I'm comfortable putting on that pre-qualification letter to give them an idea as to what they're looking for. Because what I don't want people doing is going out there and biting off more than they can chew. Right. Just because I put that your purchase price is no more than 100,000 or 150,000, you still got to look at, okay, what is the rehab budget going to be on this property, right? Because you got to have 25% of that number in reserves to qualify for that loan. So if you're talking about, Michael, I found a property for 100,000 and the house needs $100,000 worth of work and the ARV is 325. Okay, do you have 20% of the purchase price, 20,000? Do you have 25% of the $100,000 rehab budget? That's 25, right? That's 45,000 plus closing costs and stuff. So I'm going to want to see that you got about $60,000 liquid somewhere on that particular property, right? So that's kind of how I back into it. So I always try to keep it conservative, though, because what I don't want people to do is to get out here and start making offers on stuff that's over their head. Right. And I'm always quick to tell people, especially if you're a new investor, don't go out here and try to do a complex rehab, a heavy rehab, pop in the top, add some square footage or trying to do all this stuff, trying to move all these walls and do all this complex stuff to the house. Try to keep it simple your first couple of deals. Right. Focus on more cosmetic work. You're just updating the kitchen, updating the bathroom, putting on a new roof, replacing the gutters, just keep it simple for the first couple of deals until you understand the process, what stuff costs. You've got used to working with the contractor in terms of the process and what that looks like. And then once you kind of got your feet wet, then venture out and take on the more complex projects, but I see too many people out here, no experience. They have money and good credit, and they're trying to jump into deals that, in my opinion, are over their head. At the end of the day, right, I represent my clients' interests to my lenders. I don't represent the lenders. I represent my clients. And so I don't want to put you in a situation with a high probability of failure, nor am I going to let you put yourself in a position to fail just because of lack of knowledge, right? I'm going to talk to you about this and explain the numbers to you and why you want to invest and why you don't. And, I treat people like I would want somebody to talk to me if I was the one investing the money. Right. Yes, I want to make money, but I don't want to make money at your expense. And that's why I try to tell people I'm your advocate. So if I'm giving you advice that you don't want to hear, it's good for you to listen to it, because at the end of the day, if you don't do the deal, I don't make money. So if it's of no benefit for me to lie to you. Right. That's why I try to tell people, and this typically happens after people have made several offers that didn't get accepted, or they've been looking for properties for months on end and haven't found anything. And now they find something they think is a deal. And now I'm telling them, no, I think you need to pass on this. Right. This is for a more experienced investor, such as yourself, that's been doing this for 20 years. This is not something that a newbie needs to get into, unless you're partnering with an experienced investor that can guide you through the process.
Great. So, and actually now that brings about another question to the person that's just getting started. Is experience a factor, and how much of a factor is that, as far as when it comes to getting money to do the deal?
Oh, it's very important, right? That's one of the major currencies that we look at. I mean, experience matters in real estate investing. Yes, it's great to have a 750 credit score and $100,000 in the bank, and you have zero experience. I'd rather take somebody with a 620 credit score, has done 3 flips, because experience matters. They've shown their ability to get in and out of a deal, pay a lender back, and move on to the next deal. That trumps great credit and money any day when it comes to fixing and flipping. Not buying and holding. That's a whole nother animal. We're just talking about fixing and flipping. Experience is very important. It determines how we structure your loan. It determines interest rate, points that you pay. So experience does matter. It's definitely a factor that we take into account when we're evaluating that client and that property.
So on an average, if you could share this, on an average, out of 10 people that come to you for funding, like what are some of the biggest challenges that you see? Like how many are you typically able to fund out of 10? And based on the number that you share, what are the challenges that you see that most people come with when they're trying to get funded?
I would say out of 10 deals, if they're new investors, maybe no deals, maybe one or two. The biggest, I would say we probably would fund maybe 2 or 3 out of 10. And the biggest barriers to them getting funded is usually a lack of capital. They don't have enough capital to really get started. And or their credit, might be slightly lower than we want it to be. But it typically comes down to money. People come to me, I have $25,000 to invest. I'm ready to do my first flip. And I tell them straight out the bat, $25,000 is not going to be enough for you to do a flip. I would like to see personally, I'd like to see at least $40,000 to $50,000 that you have liquid if you're talking about doing a fix and flip, right? We want somebody that is well able to get into this project, not somebody that's barely financing it by the skin of their teeth. You have just enough money for down payment and closing costs, just enough money to get started. But if anything goes south, now you're in trouble. Again, we want to create win-win situations. So we don't want to sit here and put an investor in a bad predicament because they're so zealous to get into a deal. And that's what tends to happen a lot. They're very eager to want to get into a deal, but they're, from a financial standpoint, they're not quite ready. And so what I'll tell them to do is go find you another equity partner. I'm not saying you can't do the deal. I'm just saying you need more money, and go find a partner that you can JV with that has the money that you can partner with to do the deal. But in and of yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure if I were to approve you to get into this deal.
Got a question over here. Actually, yeah. Says, if you mentioned JVing, so if somebody were, I think I want to ask this question properly. If they're partnering, how do you verify who's the person that's going to qualify?
Well, the person that you want to JV with has to go on the LLC with you. They have to be a part owner of that LLC, and you do that via the operating agreement. So you don't have to go back to the state and change anything. In the operating agreement, you're going to say, okay, we're doing a joint venture. I'm 50% owner of this LLC. They're 50% owner of the LLC, right? They have to be a part of the deal. They have to be in the paperwork. Oftentimes what I'll see people try to do is, I have a silent partner, or I have an equity investor, but I don't want them to be a part of the LLC. And I'm like, well, in order to use their money, they have to be a part of the LLC. They have to have a vested interest in this deal in order for you to be able to use their money.
Okay.
It can't be, well, my mom, has $50,000 that she wants to give me to start investing. That's fine. We can use mom's money, but mom has to be on the operating agreement with you. And that doesn't mean that mom owns the LLC. It's just for that particular transaction, mom is your joint venture partner. It doesn't mean that she's now co-owner of the LLC, right? Because your operating agreement will be specific to the particular property that you're dealing with.
You said something huge. It bears repeating. I want to make sure people get that because she's on the operating agreement for that particular transaction. Most people, they might not get that, but we'll leave it right there.
Right. It doesn't mean mom gets 50% cut on everything that you do. It just means for this particular property, ABC property, you and mom are joint venture so that you can use mom's money.
Right.
And then once y'all do the deal, sell the property, you move on. And if you want to put mom on the operating agreement again for another deal, fine. If you don't, you don't have to. Mom has no legal ties to that LLC.
True. And does it matter how old the LLC is? Can it be a brand new business that's buying a property?
Yes, it can be brand new. We just need it to be in the name of a business entity. We cannot make hard money loans in your personal name. Hard money loans are business loans effectively to purchase real estate. So they have to be in the name of your business. They cannot be in your personal name.
Okay. This is a good question that somebody asked. I know you have a good one with this. Does that help your business credit?
No, not at all. We don't report to Duns. We don't report to anybody. This is, matter of fact, you're on hard money loans. You are what's called a personal guarantor, right? So, which means we're looking at your credit, as part of the application process. But the loan that we give you does not go on your personal credit. That's the beauty of hard money. Whether you're fixing and flipping or buying and holding, when we loan you money, that loan does not show up on your credit report. So it's not going to impact your debt to income ratio. Nobody will know you own that property. Nobody will know that you have debt out there. And so you're able to invest, I tell people, off the books, right? Because nobody will know that you own that property until you tell them. And the only way that item will go on there potentially is if we have to take that property back, right? You can't execute, you run out of money, you can't finish the flip or whatever, and we have to take that property back from you, then we may turn around and put that property on your personal credit report. But if you execute and you sell that property and pay our loan back, that loan will never show up on your personal credit, nor do we report to business credit. I get that question a lot as well. So this will not help you to build your credit score.
Great stuff. So what are some of the challenges and or pitfalls that you see that new investors or even experienced investors face when investing in real estate?
Yeah, I took a couple of notes. Let's see here.
I know it's a long list, brother.
Yeah. Some of the things that I see, failing to plan, right? They're just freestyling. They just out here. I want to be an investor. I want to fix and flip. No plan in place. They haven't thought it out. They just want, to get into real estate investing. Failing to build a sound investment team. You want to have wholesalers on your team, contractors, closing attorneys, home inspector, right? You want to have that solid team that can help you to do your deals, right? Real estate investing is not an individual endeavor, right? It takes a lot of people working together and executing properly in order to make, real estate investing a success. So I would say do that, which means you got to get out there and network, go to RIAs, join RIAs, and, find a mentor and find people that are doing it that can help you make sure that, you're setting yourself up for success. Another thing, not learning enough about real estate investing, right? Not educating themselves, expecting everybody, the professionals that they're dealing with, to educate them as they go instead of having a certain amount of education prior to going into investing. So a lot of times people will call me. They haven't taken a real estate course. They haven't really researched it. They haven't read any books. They haven't listened to anything. They want to jump into real estate investing, and they want me as the broker to teach them real estate investing as they're trying to get a loan.
Wow.
And it's like, that's outside of the scope of what I do. You got to come to this business with a certain level of knowledge, just base level knowledge. You understand ARV. What does that mean? How to evaluate the local real estate market that I'm in, right? What's going on in my market, just kind of, having a good working knowledge of what's going on so that you can talk the talk, which will help you to walk the walk. Not having multiple exit strategies. A lot of people have tunnel vision, right? I'm just going to fix it, this property, and if something shifts, if the market shifts, if you end up spending way more money, than what you planned on, how are you going to get out of this, right? Maybe you started off planning to sell the property, but you can't sell it now for whatever reason. Okay, look at refinancing the property and making it an Airbnb, possibly, right? What else can you do with this property other than what you had planned on doing if something should come up that requires you to make a shift, right? A lot of people don't really think that through. They have tunnel vision, and if they can't execute what they were trying to do, they just kind of throw their hands up. I don't advise that. And understanding that you're going to make mistakes, right? You don't know everything. I mean, I'm sure even you, after 20 years, sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes there are things you might miss, right? There are so many moving parts to real estate investing, right? It's not linear. Real estate investing is up, it's down. You're working with other people, you're dealing with other people. And so just understanding that, I have to be somebody that doesn't get so frazzled when things go south, right? The ability to keep a cool, calm, level head when things aren't going the way that you want them to, right? And that's why it talks about mindset. It talks about your temperament, your level of risk tolerance. All those soft skills really come into play in real estate investing if you want to be a successful investor over a long period of time. Now, if you're looking just to kind of do it as a hobby and do it here or there, then that's one thing. But if you want this to be a business and not just a transaction, you really got to develop those soft skills.
It's interesting you mentioned that, man, because, as I mentioned before, like first thing that I teach when, my students is mindset. And I always mention to them that the goal is to help them get to the point of becoming what I like to call a real life real estate investor, right? And it encompasses all the things that you talked about when you're talking about the soft skills that people like, interpersonal skills. Like people are like, well, why do I need interpersonal skills to be a real estate investor? Well, you got to talk to people, right? That's the one thing. It's a people business. That's the thing. A lot of people miss is, I got the money, I got the credit, I got all this, I got this, experience. But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to talk to the contractor, you might have some challenges, but if you don't know how to communicate and have that conversation of why they should continue to do what they're doing or why they should accept, what you're dealing with as an issue and things like that, it's all going to fall apart. So it's one of the things that you're sharing are absolutely necessary. Having those soft skills are a major part of doing business.
It is. I mean, relationships are key.
Yeah.
You can't build wealth in real estate, without teamwork, period.
True story.
You just can't. And people got to like you. You got to be likable. You have to be somebody that's easy to talk to. If you're perceived as difficult or hard to work with, it's going to be very hard for you in real estate investing.
True. Man, listen. I got to, I'm getting a signal. I got to promote the event that we're having. I got to promote another event. Having another event February 26th. For those of you that are watching that are in the Inkster or Detroit metro area, myself and, partnering with the mayor of Inkster, I'll be coming to teach Inkster residents how to buy back their blocks. What does that mean? Like you hear people say, oh, we're going to buy back the blocks. But what really is happening in the city of Inkster, that there are opportunities for individuals that are residents to buy the properties that are in the city, some that are dilapidated. I mean, even the raw land or even the land that's there are lots that are selling. I'm not going to say the huge discounted price because you got to come to the event to take advantage of the opportunities. For even, this is primarily for Inkster residents. But I'm going to say some of my investors, y'all better get y'all money right because it's going to be going down. In the city, there's going to be major opportunities. So definitely come and check that out. February 26th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to be doing half of the day is going to be training, and then we're going to be doing a bus tour where we're teaching people showing people the opportunities that are going to be available in the city. And there's some major things coming to the city of Inkster. So definitely come and check that out. Why is Glenn talking about the city of Inkster? Because that's where I'm from. That's where, I tell people I was born and raised in Inkster, but I grew up when I moved to Atlanta. Or as my partner, Brian Jubert says, Detroit put it in me, but Atlanta got it out of me. But for those of y'all in the area, definitely come check that out. And so back to what you're doing, man. Let's talk to the people first of all, how they can get in contact with you. Let's tell the people how they can get in contact with you and some of the things that they need to have in hand or be prepared to present to you when they come to you when they're talking about doing a deal.
Okay, so you can reach me on Facebook, Unlimited Funding. I have a page on Facebook, Unlimited Funding Now. I'm on IG at Unlimited Funding Forever. And, I'll send that information to Glenn so he can share it with you. And then, you can reach me by email, mbraswell at unlimited-funding.com, or you can reach me by phone at 770-854-2194. I'm, based out of Atlanta. I'm between here and a place in the Caribbean now. I made a little change last year during COVID, so I'm between here and there. So I'm coming here more to network with investors and really get back into the swing of things here now that it's opening back up and people are starting to have meetings and things like that. So I'm very accessible. I'll share that with Glenn. And also, Glenn, I wanted to let people know I wrote an ebook.
That's what we got to talk about. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote an ebook last year called The Hard Money Playbook, An Investor's Guide to Borrowing Hard Money. And it's just a simple book that kind of lays out what hard money is, how to use it, where to find it, so that you can be a successful real estate investor, how to use other people's money to make money, right? It's all about leverage in real estate, leverage and relationships. And so I kind of lay it out for investors, new or experienced. It's $9.99. You can get it on my website at unlimited-funding.com. Click on the store link and you can purchase the PDF book. It'll download and send right to you. It's a very easy read. It's not complicated. And just trying to give people, knowledge on, if you want to be a real estate investor, it all starts with mindset first and money second. If your mindset ain't right and your money's not right, real estate investing is not for you. So Glenn will help you with the mindset. I'll provide you with the money, and together, we'll help you to build wealth in real estate.
True stuff. Another question. People in Inkster want to know, can you provide funding for the people in Michigan? So, I know you do business all over the world because actually all over the country, because you're in Belize doing, was I supposed to say that? You're in the Caribbean.
You don't put it out there now.
No, my bad.
I'm in Belize now.
You're in the Caribbean doing business in the States. So that's a huge thing. So what areas can you provide funding?
Oh, I can provide funding definitely in Detroit. But with Detroit, it has to be more of the suburban areas with the higher values. Mm-hmm. I know, Detroit is historically, since I've been in the game, Detroit has been challenged to lend there because the values were so low. Right. Like when we're talking about doing a flip, we want to see a purchase price of $100,000 or more to do that flip. So if you're out there in Detroit and it's a $30,000 purchase and a $40,000 rehab, we don't have financing for that, right? And that's why Detroit is huge when it comes to it being a cash investor space, right? If you have the cash, you can just outright buy the stuff and do what you need to do to it. So I would say if you're in the suburbs and the value is $100,000 and up, we can finance those, fix and flip, and buy and hold. But if it's under $100,000, you're going to find it hard to find financing sub $100,000. Now, there might be some local private lenders there in Detroit that know the market very well, and they'll lend on the smaller stuff. But we don't lend on the smaller stuff.
Got it. Okay. And there are quite a few areas around that, there are some higher values now in the city of Detroit, actually in the city or in the metropolitan area of Detroit. So, there's definitely some opportunities there. And there are also situations where we'll say values are being created That's some of the stuff we're gonna teach at the event on the 26th.
They go create your own comps.
Right.
Okay. I'm with it.
So with that question, now I know one of the things that is required is an appraisal, right?
Yes.
For doing the hard money. For comps, how do you look at the comps? Like, is it just a sale on the books? I'm trying to say this without actually talking about it. But is there a sale on the books that is required to show a comp? I know that's crazy.
Yes, it has to be a sold comp, right? So when that appraiser is doing their homework, they're looking at sold comps within 3 months, 6 months, within a year, less than a mile from that property. That's what they're looking at. So it has to be sold, that they can verify it. So yes, to answer your question.
Got it. And that sold comp. Okay, I'm gonna get into the weeds here a little bit. So somebody will figure out what I'm talking about. So that sold comp, even though it has financing on it, it's still a sale on the books. Am I right?
Yes. I mean, if they can, when they're doing their due diligence to come up with a value, to estimate a value for that property, if that seller finance deal comes up as a sale, right? They can locate it. Then yes, then they will use that.
You said it. The seller finance deal.
Right.
So for those that don't know, that's how the comps are created. Even though it's seller finance, it's a sale on the books. So a sale is a sale is a sale. Pretty much. But that's awesome, man. And then too, somebody says that they can do the smaller stuff. Matt, I appreciate you sharing that with us. But today's show is about unlimited funding.
Yeah, our funding is unlimited, but we do have parameters, right? We can't fund everything,
right?
We can fund a lot,
and that's business. Somebody says anything signed at the title company constitutes a sale. Absolutely. I wish I could see who that is. It just says Facebook user. And I think that's somebody in the Facebook group. Again, thank you for joining us. But I think you ought to click on that little link so we can know who you are. They're sharing some great information like that. Let's see. Do we have any other questions over here before we let you get out of here? Can you specify the areas of the country that you lend in? Or are there any areas of the countries that you do not lend in?
Well, we don't lend in the Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming. We don't lend in states where there are more people, more animals than people. More wild animals than people. So anywhere that you want to invest, we lend there. Now, if you like Mike, I got this flip in Wyoming, population 25. Yeah, we can't help you with that. Okay, we want major metropolitan areas. You know what I'm saying?
Brother, hey, listen, that's definitely gonna be on the replay that we put out. I ain't never heard that before.
That's what I tell people. There are a lot more wild animals, not domesticated animals. A lot more wild animals than our people, and people live. Population is 10 people per mile. No, that's
right.
Yeah, we ain't trying to lend on that now.
Well, there are more animals than people. They can live there.
So yeah,
you're not gonna have Simba coming to buy your house. So I
tell people, but we lend where you're gonna want to invest. I put it like that.
True story. Absolutely. Good stuff. So tell the people the name of the book again and how they can get that.
Okay, so the name of the book is The Hard Money Playbook, an investor's guide to borrowing hard money, and they can get it on the website at unlimited-funding.com. Click on store, and you can purchase the book there. And then I'll also provide Glenn with a separate link for people if you, for some reason, have issues trying to download the book through my website. I'll provide Glenn with another link where you can purchase it for $9.99. Like I said, it's a wealth of information. And like I said, you spend more than $10 on going to get something to eat at Chick-fil-A. So, For $10, we're going to give you the knowledge that you need to make $100,000 to make $1 million.
Somebody said on IG, invest in yourself.
Thank you.
It's interesting, just to make that point, and then we're gonna wrap it up. The people that oftentimes look at this business, I think we've been sold on this idea that it doesn't cost anything to do business, right? There's $99 to get involved in this business. There's $299 to get in this business, and then there's some people that don't want to spend anything but have this idea of becoming a millionaire, and not realizing that in order to become any level of anything, you have to become the person that fits in that slot, right? And becoming that person doesn't just happen. You have to take steps. There's a process. Some people think I'm going to become a millionaire, right? A millionaire is not just about having $1 million, right? You have to become a millionaire so you can keep the $1 million. Somebody gonna get that. See somebody in the section way back over there in the back. They gonna get that.
Yeah, watch this interview over and over again.
Absolutely.
a lot of jewels drop that will help you if you listen to it and you put it into practice.
Yeah. Listen, man, thank you so much for joining us today, Mike. I know you got 1,000,001 things to do. You got people just running after you to get all this money that you got to give away or to lend, because we don't want to say give away because people come with that idea. I don't have to do anything to get it. I could just show up.
Yeah. My goal, we're trying to fund $10 million in real estate loans every month. So y'all help me to spend this money. Please help me to spend this money. We want to give it to you. If you got a good deal, some decent credit, and you got some money, we have the money for you. Okay. So help me spend this $10 million every month. True story.
Oh, David Dixon. Shout out to David Dixon. David, click on so we can know who you are, man. David's a good guy. David, we need to have you come on the show, man. I know you be doing some major stuff. But listen, again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And those links, I'm going to put my folks on blast since we're on the show. Those links that you shared with the people about how to get the book and all that was supposed to be showing up on the screen. I don't know why that didn't happen, but we'll have that I'll have that conversation with them when we get off here. But we'll definitely be sure to send the links to the people that are watching. We're going to send it to our list to make sure people get that information.
I appreciate you.
It's always a pleasure, man. I know you will always share knowledge with people, and that's one of the things I want to make sure people get about what you do. There's some people that lend money and they'll just give it to you just because you show up. But what I can appreciate about what you do is that you're not afraid to tell people that's not a good deal, right? And you're not afraid to not do the deal and probably forsake making money because you want people to do good business. And I know that's what you do, and that's one of the things I definitely salute you for, on helping people to not make a mistake and get in their own way. So definitely salute to you for that as well.
Thank you.
Right. Anything you want to share with the folks before we jump off?
No, I would just say, educate yourself, get you a mentor if you need one, find people that are smarter than you, they have more experience than you, and humble yourself and just be a student of the game. Learn as much as you can, be a sponge. But most importantly, you got to take action at some point, right? The rubber got to meet the road. So take action, don't be fearful, take educated risk. That's what I tell people. Just take an educated risk. You can't remove all risk, but you can minimize it through education. So get educated, get with good people that want to see you win, and sky's the limit.
Definitely. Thank you again, sir, for joining us. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back here next week, same time, and on all the same channels. All right. Thank y'all for watching. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, where we bring you real life real estate solutions. Have a great week.